We were not born in chains. We were born with a crown on our head. Africans is a land of glory, the land that flows with milk and honey, the land that the Western world all over seek to be and come to seek what we have and who we are. But unfortunately, rather than them coming to do business with us in the proper manner, the narratives have been written over the years that when you want an African nation not to succeed, do your best to take out the best brain and take them to the Western world. 1500 to 1800 was a dark moment for Africans. The best of Africans were taken away as slaves to sugarcane farms. Sadly, so sad. But we're not allowing that to keep us down, but rather, we're not blaming anyone. We won't blame the Western world. We're not going to blame our kings or our rulers back then, because some have the opinion that if our rulers did not cooperate with them, they wouldn't have the opportunity to do that. Oh yes, that's a good point. But how do you explain a man who comes with a gun and the only thing you have is a cutlass? Who holds the power? Who holds the power? If you refuse to agree, you will all be killed. It was sad, so sad, but it happened that way. The strength of Africa in accommodating strangers was taken advantage of, and that was exactly what happened. Nothing more than that. But the time has come for us Africans to begin to tell our stories beyond slave trade, to the cradle where it began, to the time when we had our own science. And we still have it till today. The only thing we needed to do is to develop on it. I'm going to digress a little to a particular masquerade in the Yoruba community called Danafojura. Danafojura is a masquerade with what we called heavy signs accompanying his regalia. I do not want to call it juju or any other thing, but I want to call it sign because it is typical African signs. There's no amount of fire that you put together and you put Danafojura masquerade inside it that will burn Danafojura. That is fire repelling clothing that the Oyinbos today, the Western world, has repackaged for us and are now selling to us. If only the African man will look deeply into that and begin to examine that science of Danafojura. Whenever there is a fire incident, we will have in our house a replica of Danafojura regalia, not necessarily in the same format or the same form, but something of such nature to protect us from fire burns, and therefore allows us to walk through fire no matter how the fire accident intensity is. But this science was looked at as black, as bad, as evil. And even to us, the Africans, we see it as evil. Abba. Now we're going to start seeing ourselves the way we are supposed to see ourselves, in the right light and the right perspective, and start calling ourselves evil and black and bad. That was just science that God gave to us on a platter of gold that we needed to develop upon and create enterprise from. Danafojura regalia is an enterprise that can feed a whole nation. There are several of such, and so many of the same. So many of different qualities that can be developed and worked upon as science. You know, sometimes I wonder, because when you look at the story behind the aircraft, the Wright brothers, their father was a reverend who has preached in his church that only an evil man can make a metal to fly. For metal to fly, that is demonic and satanic. But his sons, the Wright brothers, flew metal. How do you prove that? What if they did not develop that science? How easy will it be for an African man to travel from Africa to London in 7 hours? Or even to other African countries in 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 hours? When they came to colonize us, they came in canoes, in ships. Some of them died on the road. But they didn't call the right brother at the end of the day evil. They saw the right brothers as saviors. And they did not, because of that, begin to worship the right brothers. The science of the right brothers from that point till now are developed so tremendously that we have faster jets, the Boeings, the fighter jets, and all of different categories. They didn't call theirs evil. So why will you call Danafojura regalia evil? Danafojura's regalia it's an ordinary clothes that repels fire, and it's a science that needs to be developed. Do your best to extract the goodies, the uranium, the gold, the diamond, the oil, the copper in Zambia, and every other place. Take it out and leave them with nothing. And unfortunately, we have never been left with nothing. We always have it. It is time for us to look inward and begin to emancipate, like the great musician said in his song, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. No one but ourselves can heal our land. No one but ourselves can make our land great again. It is a call unto Africans all over the world to look back at Africa and let's build this continent together. Let's tell the story of this continent ourselves. Let's not allow anyone to tell the story of this continent for us. Let's come back home and begin to narrate our story by ourselves in films, in the news, and everywhere, so that at the end of the day, Africa will come up again in His glory that the Almighty Eledumare has blessed us with. We cannot say it in one video, but follow me as we journey through Africa with Ori Africa. I remains yours truly, Bekun Olale. Inspired by Ori, guided by Africa, Ori Africa.